President Joe Biden's time in office is running out, and he's making decisions that were widely expected. Joe Biden has pardoned his troubled son Hunter, who was earlier this year convicted of federal gun charges and pleaded guilty to federal tax evasion charges for failing to pay at least $1.4 million in taxes. I'll tell you what Joe Biden has had to say about this in just a moment, but this is what the president told the media and all of you watching just a few months ago in June.
Your son Hunter is on trial, and I know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution. But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Most people watching this knew that this was another lie from the president, and it was a lie that his administration kept up.
But from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No. Well, I just said no. I just answered. Go ahead.
The thing is, this is an issue that most voters might have empathy on and could potentially understand that many fathers in that position would probably use their power to protect their children. There was no need to lie about it. But it's not Joe Biden's style to be upfront and honest. You know, watching those clips back, it just makes you wonder why Joe Biden even bothered agreeing to do rare interviews. It was a total waste of everyone's time. But back to the big news of today. Robert Hunter Biden has been given a full and unconditional pardon, and the statement says, for those offences against the United States, which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1, 2014 through to December 1, 2024. In Joe Biden's statement, well, he gives himself a pat on the back for claiming that he kept his word, for not interfering with the Justice Department's decision-making. He claims that Hunter Biden's cases were all political. He mentioned that Hunter's been sober for 5.5 years, but it's the final paragraph that really gets me. Joe Biden wrote, "For my entire career, I have followed a simple principle. Just tell the American people the truth." You couldn't make this up, could you? He wrote, "Just tell the American people the truth. They'll be fair-minded. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision." Who is going to miss this administration? Just looking at the reaction on X, barely anyone is surprised. Founder of OutKick, Clay Travis, posted Joe Biden pardoning Hunter after insisting for years that he wouldn't do it is the most predictable move ever. All they do is lie. Another journalist reshared a post from Joe Biden that says no one is above the law with the message except Hunter Biden. And Senator-elect of Indiana, Jim Banks, posted on X, Joe Biden issued a pardon to Hunter Biden for any crimes that he might have committed since 2014. Why such a specific year? Well, Hunter Biden just so happened to join the board of a Ukrainian energy firm in that same year, 2014. So corrupt. Marjorie Taylor Greene wrote, "This pardon is Joe Biden's admission that Hunter is a criminal." She went on to say that Joe Biden is a liar and a hypocrite all the way to the end. Joe Biden claims that Hunter was treated differently, and in some ways, history shows that that's true. You'd all remember when the New York Post's bombshell series on Hunter Biden's laptop was censored over claims that it was Russian disinformation, even though the FBI had possession of Hunter's laptop since 2019 and Joe Biden was running an election campaign in 2020. Hunter Biden has been treated differently. He's spent his whole life receiving special treatment, and Joe Biden was always going to cover for him. Well, it's not long now until the Bidens are out of power and America gets Donald Trump back. Right now, the Trump transition is underway, and the hosts of The Outsiders have taken a look at the Trump effect and some of the changes that we're already seeing after his massive election win.
It is fascinating to me how Donald Trump is now, even though we are weeks, 8 weeks away from Inauguration Day, 7 weeks, he is now essentially the de facto president of the United States.
Oh, yes.
And everybody is now dancing to his tune. And we have seen this past week on the subject of the border. He's got this great new border chief, Tom Homan, who is so tough and so strong on this stuff. He has threatened to arrest mayors who don't go along with, enforcing the law about illegal migrants. Who would have thought that was a crazy idea? Anyway, the latest in this is New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Now, New York is a sanctuary state. They've, of course, got all sorts of problems with Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuelan gangs, things like that. She has now said, oh, no, hang on. Sorry. We love legal immigrants. We love legal immigrants in New York, but we will call ICE on any illegal who's caught committing a crime. This is a huge change in tone. And again, this starts from the top and flows downwards. That leadership that Trump is providing on the border. And it is fascinating. We spoke about it earlier in the program, guys, about how, even in Britain with Keir Starmer, he is starting to talk.
Trump is changing the world. It's the Renaissance.
Suddenly the whole open borders narrative is over.
Yep.
It's over. And it's only because Donald Trump won that around the world, everybody is now looking at open borders as disaster that it has been.
Open borders over. Rita, climate change will be over when Trump pulls out of thingy. We've got everything woke is being attacked by Trump without him even lifting a finger yet. We've got Jay Bhattacharya, who we referred to a couple of weeks ago. Last week we said that the rumours were that Trump was thinking of nominating him to head up the NIH. That has now been announced that Trump is nominating him. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but he is the nominee for heading up the NIH. So that's this is the guy who was the antithesis of the entire draconian COVID thing. We had him here on Outsiders before anybody else did, by the way. Here is Jay Bhattacharya speaking with the IPA when he was in Australia a couple of years ago.
Why the lockdown in the first place? I think most countries just copied China. The World Health Organization looked at the Chinese response in January 2020 and said, look, it worked. We committed ourselves to a policy that has had devastating consequences on the poor, the vulnerable, the working class. And we did it in good faith, but they were mistaken. Admitting that mistake, admitting that those mistakes led to those harms is a very difficult thing to do. If we keep this kind of policy in place, then I think that is the end of liberal democracy. The censorship and the repression and the civil liberties violations we face will become the norm.
And the great poetic justice here, Rowan and Rita, is that he is nominated to head the very National Institutes of Health, whose bureaucracy we know tried to silence him and the other signatories and authors of the Great Barrington Declaration,
Absolutely.
Which set out the way that we should have responded to COVID from the beginning.
And basically, Jay was here on Outsiders right from the beginning saying what he is now saying, Rita.
Yes, you're right.
Yes.
I agree. Do you want me to say
Rita.
more about this?
No, I want you to go on to the next topic.
I want to talk more about the Trump effect. And James mentioned that he is now the president already. He's not just the president-elect, he's the president. And that's evident on Thanksgiving when Justin Trudeau, the neo-Marxist Ken Dole himself, Fidel Jr., went and met with Donald Trump, talked about tariffs, trade, talks about all sorts of policies. Oh, there he is at Mar-a-Lago. Look at him smiling. Look how happy he is. And this is a big surprise because guess what? Joe Biden is actually still the president. He's still the leader of the free world. You would think Justin Trudeau would be somewhere, I don't know, around the White House having these meetings. But no. It's already this, and you're so right, the Trump effect, whether it's Keir Starmer talking like a conservative about immigration or Kathy Hochul, there is this change that they can't ignore the numbers. They can't ignore that there is an overwhelming mandate there and people want to see change.
And this literally is a renaissance of the West. If things go well, we will see Donald Trump the next 4 years. We will see across the world all the things we've been talking about on shows like this for years about the transgender stuff, the woke stuff, the climate stuff. All of this is now under the spotlight and it will be transformed for the better, mark my words. It's one of the most exciting times to be alive, I believe. What we're going to see under Trump is just sensational. And when you see Rita and James, the way they attacked him, he was Adolf Hitler, he was the fascist, he was this and that. Now they're all rushing to his
Rowan,
side.
just very quickly on this, it's also fascinating to look what the corporate world is going on. This so many huge corporations now. Walmart, I think, was the latest ones. They are all ditching their DEI programs. The big funds that invest in ESG, and we're using ESG as a determinant where they put your money in your super or whatever, they're all taking a second look at that again because they realize there's no money in it. It's all a joke. It's just friction in the workplace.